After giving the barrage of information that we got at COD Next 24 hours to settle in, I wanted to bring this video to you guys to summarise the key points that I took from the whole event. You would have seen some beta gameplay by now, but I guarantee there's going to be some details in here that you haven't heard or you haven't thought of, so make sure you stick around to the end to check it out. I'm going to start with Modern Warfare 2 and move on to Warzone 2, but a really important point to remember before we even get into the video is that these games were designed together from the ground up and they are part of the same shared universe, so literally share everything. One cool thing that I did hear the devs from Infinity Ward talking about before or at the start of the event was that they're trying to cater to everyone. They've tried to split the player base up into three main categories. Rushers, who are kind of action-based sweats, a bit like myself, sentinels, basically an affectionate way of calling people campers, and finally stalkers. These are sort of reactive players that are based kind of in between the two camps. So they're kind of trying to think about everyone. And I know this sounds like marketing speak, but it is still cool to know they have thought about the player base and it isn't just about designing the game they want to design. Okay, well, onto the actual game itself. I'm going to start with a pretty big one. Well, this was a big one for me. Something I really wished was in Warzone 1, sort of 2019, Modern Warfare 2019, and apparently the devs did too. It turns out that they ran out of time when they were kind of trying to add this feature into Modern Warfare 2019, and that's water. I always knew Verdansk was built for it, and time after time I was saying, season after season, that the lakes were going to fill up, the rivers were going to fill up, the dam was going to unfreeze, but it never happened because they did run out of that time. But finally, here it is, they're bringing it to us, and it comes along with some really cool mechanics and really cool gameplay opportunities in my humble opinion. So not only do we get the water and aquatic combat, we get a load of new vehicles and ways to kind of sweep your opponent that comes along with that. So back on the water combat, this looks like it's been really well thought through. So you can obviously go underwater, you can swim, but it's a pistol situation when you do go underwater. You can only fight with that pistol, and if you don't have one, well then honestly you're fucked. So I do personally think that using the water to evade enemies is going to be a big thing in Warzone 2, especially when you're regaining. It feels like SOCOM 2 vibes. I don't know if any of you guys are old enough to play that game, but I'm definitely here for it. The next big thing that I want to talk about is the movement and the new movement mechanics that come along with it. This has been confirmed that slide cancelling is not in the game, but some of you may have seen the beta by now. People have already worked out a slide cancel, so I'm hoping they patch that out pretty quickly. I'm all down for slide cancelling being removed. But in its place, they have got some pretty cool new mechanics. The main one is ledge hanging. So with ledge hanging, it's kind of Splinter Cell shit. What you can do is actually use a pistol if you've got one to shoot above or peek the ledge without having to do, without having to throw yourself all the way up there. That's what they're calling a high mantle. The next up is the dolphin dive. The dolphin dive is back. It's not the same as you may be familiar with in other games. You can't shoot while you're dolphin diving, so that's pretty cool. But the one thing they've said is that the dolphin dive is high enough to jump into the windows. So if that's a familiar way of getting into windows, any of you that watch the streams will know that I find windows an absolute nightmare in Warzone 1, so I'm really hoping that works out, and I'll be doing it if it's consistent. Obviously sliding is back as well, so that's pretty cool. I am here for that. Right, next up, we're going to talk a little bit about the maps, but to be honest, I'm just going to have to let the maps play out and play for themselves. I'm not the biggest fan of traditional 6v6 maps, as you probably already know. Warzone 1 was what brought me back into gaming, but I'm willing to give these maps a chance for sure. My interpretation from the event or from the conference was that they're really trying to distinguish quite heavily between small maps and big maps in this shared universe, making sure that they play how you'd expect them to play. So a small map would retrospectively play how a small map should play. 6v6 doing what it should do and providing fast-paced, reliable action that's clean, not too much verticality that they put into Vanguard, and the big maps are dubbed battle maps, and they should play as such, like big maps should play. So not trying to make everything do everything, but really kind of trying to distinguish between the two. This takes us on nicely to the modes. So we should have the 6v6 modes that we've all come to expect with a COD game, but we've got a couple more, and some of them sound pretty interesting to me. The first is a prisoner rescue mode, where you do that, rescue a prisoner. It does sound like it's got some cool mechanics to keep the gameplay balanced, so whether you're on the way to rescue a prisoner or you've already rescued a prisoner and you're heading back to the evac, they've got some mechanics that will keep the action based where it should be based. So pretty excited to see how that plays out. It's got pretty big S&D energy in my opinion, so look out for that if you're a fan of the traditional S&D mode. In terms of new modes for the big maps or the battle maps, they've got a new mode called Invasion. It's been dubbed the Shipment of Ground War. So they've done the Big Dom with Ground War, and they wanted to do a more deathmatch style thing on a bigger map. So that's what Invasion is going to be. So looking forward to trying that out when Ground War launches, along with Modern Warfare 2 in 2022. The last thing I want to talk about for multiplayer before we get onto Warzone, the exciting stuff, the last thing that really stands out on a high level for me is Spec Ops. So I'm personally really excited for Spec Ops. Spec Ops in 2019 was great, but basically what they've done is they've put together a bunch of 2-player missions, and these missions are really heavily focused on kind of attack and support roles split. So have someone in the air, you have someone on the ground, and they've taken a look at some older missions like the Overwatch from the original COD 4, Modern Warfare, which I loved personally. It was obviously such an iconic mission. Really looking forward to checking that out. Might even do some on stream with viewers, people that want to jump in and play Spec Ops with me. So that could be a pretty cool way to hang out. Up next, right, Warzone 2, probably the stuff you've been waiting for. The main thing, obviously, it's pretty exciting. As I mentioned earlier, it's part of a shared universe. So everything we just talked about for Modern Warfare 2 is going to be in Warzone. All the mechanics, all the vehicles, etc, etc. It's all one big cohesive universe, and it should be pretty advantageous over time. So that's cool. New map. We all expected to get a new map. You've probably all seen it by now. Al Mazrah. This is the biggest BR map that we've had to date, and consists of lots of super cool POIs. Some of what have been brought in from the original games as well. So original Modern Warfare game, Shadow Down, and also Terminal is going to be there from Modern Warfare 2. So the nostalgia is going to be running pretty high already on this map, even though it's unfamiliar. It will bring some familiarity in to this brand new map. With water obviously being a pretty big focus, we've got some new aquatic vehicles, we've got rivers running through the whole new map, so it's going to be a really key way I expect to sort of traverse and get around this new map generally. So yeah, talking of vehicles, we should expect to see some familiar vehicles, but also some brand new vehicles, and even the familiar vehicles, we should expect them to be unfamiliar in the way that they handle. So each vehicle has got a very specific and unique way or feel of handling, unique to their class, and they also take damage in very different ways to they did in Warzone 1. So, for example, you can blow the doors off vehicles, helicopters, shoot the tyres out of trucks and cars, etc. And you can interact with these vehicles differently to you could in Warzone 1. So, for example, you could like climb onto the roof, or you could shoot outdoors in a very different way from before. So it's very dynamic, and I'm really excited to see how this plays out. Obviously, we've seen some alpha gameplay from the COD Next event, but in person at launch, that should be pretty cool. There's also a Beast new helicopter. It's a huge helicopter. That's going to be a pretty... it fits your whole squad in it, and you can move around freely. It's like the chopper in the end game. You can move around freely in this, so I look forward to sort of buzzing teams with this Beast. I've got a squad mate that loves to fly the chopper, so if you're a vehicle kind of guy, it's going to be a big one. Obviously, with vehicle damage being a thing, they've also added gas. Right, so the need for fuel or gas, whatever part of the world you're in, whatever you call it. So with the idea of gas, naturally you're going to need a gas station for these vehicles to remain a prominent way of traversing the map. So not only can you refuel gas at these fuel stations, you can also repair your flat tyres or repair the vehicle generally, which adds a really cool kind of RPG element to the game. Feels to me, to be honest, quite a strong running theme throughout the changes that they've made to Warzone. Big PUBG energy. On that theme, looting has also been changed up. So looting, they're trying to add more familiarity to the looting, so it's not completely random, making it more logical and consistent. So if you need gas, you go to a gas station. If you need health, you go to a hospital or a bathroom. If you need weapons, then you go to a shop, a black site, a store, you know, a toolbox or whatever. It feels very PUBG, as I say. So big changes there, big changes, proper battle royale feel to it. Next up, we've got brand new circle mechanics. This is going to be pretty interesting, pretty wild if you ask me. So not only have we got the traditional circle collapses that we're used to, we're also, which obviously they're pretty hard to get away from in a battle royale, we're also going to get sort of a 2, 3, 4 multi-circle collapse. And this is where we'll see teams segregate into sort of micro final circles before these circles merge up. To create one actual final circle. These are going to be dynamic and change the way that the end game plays out. So that's going to be super interesting and really change that dynamic. So yeah, I'm quite excited to see how that plays out. It might actually get me back into the full Battle Royale experience. The Gulag. This has been switched up as well. It's been likened to a mini game. You'll end up doing things like 2v2 gulags with a random opponent using prox chat to communicate. And that's something I haven't mentioned, is prox chat. Prox chat has been added to Warzone. So this, to be honest, I think it's going to be hilarious. The clips are going to be insane. Some people might turn it off, some people might have it on. It's going to be pretty toxic, I imagine. So yeah, that's good. I'm looking forward to that. It's it brings everyone feeling a bit more, you know, it's going to have Rust kind of vibes. Okay, wrapping up on the Warzone, we've got some cool new mechanics, gameplay mechanics, and POIs, and these are called strongholds. These are buildings that are occupied and protected by AI forces. And I know AI in PvP kind of games are controversial. Some will hate it, some will love it, and if it's done well, I think it could be kind of cool. This is kind of all to encourage a engage and reward mechanic where you know, you attack these, you're successful, and you'll get things like loadouts and weapons, etc, etc. Talking of loadouts, there are no free public loadouts in Warzone 2. You can still buy your gunsmith guns at the buy station, but this is a new thing, and this is personal to each player. You have to go yourself and buy your own loadout. It's not a free thing with all the perks. There are going to be no perks in Warzone 1 at launch. So yeah, big change ahead. Last point, wrapping up on today's new kind of pretty immense and immersive Modern Warfare 2 package across Warzone and Modern Warfare 2 is the long leaked and talked about, discussed new mode, DMZ. DMZ is coming. This is an extraction-based mode set on the new Al Miraz Warzone map, and this is a true sandbox mode. So we're going to see ourselves dropping in as squads, fighting our way through AI, and kind of playing it out. We don't have a huge amount of detail on this mode yet, but I do know that we're going to be, you know, you're going to be picking up gear, refining your gear as you go through round by round. So this is extraction mode, survival kind of mode. It will be dropping for free on November 16th when Warzone 2 does launch. If all of this sounds crazy and not that interesting to you and you just want Verdansk back, well, you're in luck. Verdansk is coming back, but it's coming back on mobile. So if you're a Verdansk fan or COD Mobile fan, you should pre-register in the Android store and get cracking with that. I don't know if I'll play it personally. I may check it out just for nostalgic vibes, but you know, there's a lot of new content to get stuck into. So we'll be covering all of it. If you've made it this far, please do subscribe, comment your thoughts below, and I will see you on stream soon. Peace out.